Today, we confer an honorary degree upon Roger Jackson in acknowledgement of his contributions as an athlete and leader in the Canadian and international Olympic movements, as a visionary academic, and as a long-standing and effective community volunteer. I am delighted to welcome him to this convocation. And to present our distinguished candidate, I will now call on Dr. Angie Schneider, Faculty of Health Sciences.
Roger Jackson. The granting of an honorary degree is an opportunity for us to honor and to celebrate a person who has made a difference and set an example, an individual who has made the world, or his or her part of it, a little better, a person who can inspire each of us to do and to be all that we can be. The university shows who and what it values through those to whom it confers degrees, and I am pleased and proud to be part of Western University as we honor and celebrate Roger Jackson. First, we honor Roger as an athlete. Roger competed in 3 Olympic Games for Canada and won a gold medal in the 1964 Tokyo Olympics in rowing with George Hungerford. They were also awarded the Lou Marsh Trophy as Canada's male athletes of that year. But we are not here just to honor Roger's sporting achievements. That's already been done. Roger has already been inducted into UBC's and Canada's Sports Halls of Fame. Roger is being honored for more than just having been a great athlete. Roger sought to give back to sport, to academia, to music, and to his country. Roger was a visionary faculty member and Dean of Physical Health Education at the University of Calgary, and in 1988, he transferred his focus, becoming founder director of UC's Sport Medicine Center, now called the Roger Jackson Center for Health and Wellness Research, to honor him. When he retired from UC in 2004, he began to help to develop bids to host the Olympic Games, and even moved to England to help secure the successful London 2012 bid. Upon returning to Canada in 2005, he became the founding CEO of Own the Podium, a nationwide program to prepare Canadian athletes for the 2010 Vancouver Olympic Games, which resulted in a record-setting number of gold medals for Canada. Recipient of both the IOC and the Canadian Olympic Orders, Roger was heavily involved in the Olympic movement, both nationally and internationally, as president of the Canadian Olympic Association and as a many-time volunteer on several International Olympic Committee projects. Here, we celebrate a man of vision, not just accomplishment. Roger has other gifts. In 2001, he began service as chairman of the Cantos Music Foundation, which is now the National Music Center, sharing a love of music that Roger has held since childhood. This National Center will foster Canada's musicians in new and innovative ways while helping Canadians of all ages and levels of ability to explore the beauty and the power of music. So let us turn to celebrate Roger the person. Roger has lived and worked his values and his ideals. He has earned a number of awards and distinctions, including being named an Officer of the Order of Canada in 1984 and being invested into the Alberta Order of Excellence in 2012. He holds an honorary Doctorate of Science from the University of New Brunswick and an honorary Doctor of Laws degree from the University of Calgary. But Roger truly believes in sport, good sport, and the way it can transform young people's lives. He has worked tirelessly to promote and support good sport. In 2009, CBC Sports named Roger as one of the 25 most influential Canadians in sports. Roger is a most worthy recipient of this honorary degree. And therefore, Mr. Chancellor, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor and in the name of the Senate, I ask you to confer the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa upon Roger Jackson.
By virtue of the authority vested in me as Chancellor, I admit you to the degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa. Congratulations, Dr. Johnson.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of all assembled here today, I should now like to invite our newest alumnus, Dr. Roger Jackson, to address Convocation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Eminent Chancellor, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and very special people, the graduates. It's almost 50 years since I sat in your position and graduated from Western. And I remember my personal feeling of saying, thank God it's finally over. It's sealed, it's delivered. They can't take it away. It's all done. And little did I realize that it was only the beginning, and lots and lots and lots of hard work and good things to do yet in the future. But my warmest congratulations. This honor is very special to me because Western was my first university. It was the place that opened my eyes to all of the exciting opportunities and experiences that you could have in this world. It was the place where I began my strong interest in science, in particular exercise physiology. Western was where I learned to row, and that became a very dominant part of my life. Indeed, in 1960, when I came here as a freshman, I saw a sign that said, "Come out for rowing, desire the only prerequisite." I'm not sure I even understood what prerequisite was, but it served me extremely well. So I signed up for the rowing program, and one of the reasons was a month earlier, in August of 1960, at the Olympic Games in Rome, the only medal Canada won was a silver medal in the rowing eights event by the University of British Columbia rowing crew. Imagine that, I thought. A university rowing crew could actually excel at the Olympic Games, and the fire was ignited. My studies were balanced by academic work, of course, at the university, but afternoons in the fall and the gorgeous Fanshawe Lake and the beautiful weather. I raced for Western on many races over my university career, and I also rowed at the London Rowing Club in the summer, beginning to build and develop my capabilities and my interests in rowing. The next Olympic Games were in Tokyo in 1964. And when I graduated, I decided this was the time to try to do something special in my life. I had never been out of Ontario. I bought a one-way ticket to Vancouver because that's where the strongest rowers were in Canada, and decided to take my chance and see whether or not I could make the Olympic team. Training in Vancouver was something that I would call today brutal. It was very, very tough. We were up at 4:30 in the morning. We trained twice a day, 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the afternoon. We were eating probably 3 times the normal caloric intake of individuals, 7,000 calories a day, just to keep our weight even because of the incredible endurance work that we were doing. We were exhausted all the time. We were in bed at 8:30 at night, which certainly didn't allow date time, and it created the situation that we had to be just totally dedicated, otherwise we weren't going to do it. Every day, rain or shine, rough water, cold water, we had to be on the water and perform. And we were asked to do more than anything that we ever wanted to do. And we were asked to do more than we thought we could do, and we could do it. So I learned many lessons from that initial experience. One of them was not to be hesitant to try to do something exciting and different. Another was not to be afraid to put yourself in a very, very difficult environment and see how you could perform. And a third, which was really important to me, was that if you really want to do something special, try something very hard, there can be no compromise in the effort. The payoff in October of 1964, almost 50 years ago, or already 50 years ago, was that George Hungerford of the University of British Columbia and I won all our races in Tokyo and became Olympic champions. Now let me fast forward 50 years to the creation of Own the Podium. And it's another example of excellence and striving for excellence in my life that I thought you would be interested in hearing a little bit about. In 2003, when the International Olympic Committee awarded the Olympic Winter Games and Paralympic Games to Vancouver, the Vancouver organizers were trying to consider how best to make these games resonate with all of Canadians. And what was the best way to do that? And they decided that it was by encouraging all of the Canadian athletes who existed at the Games to try to put on an absolutely world-class performance. Up till then, Canada had been 6th in the world, somewhere behind Germany, United States, Russia, Norway, and other countries that constantly were ahead of us in the Winter Games. This extraordinary goal of trying to be the best and the top country of 85 countries competing in the Games was laudable, but it was an incredibly difficult goal to achieve. We're not dealing this time with a couple of rowers trying to win a race in Tokyo. We were dealing with a diverse group of 14 winter sport disciplines and over 500 serious athletes who had to up their game in order to compete at the world level. I was asked to take on this program and to lead it and to provide the leadership and the push and the mentoring that was required for all of these sport disciplines to excel. And we had 5 years to put the program together. The challenge was to change the attitudes and the practices of the athletes and coaches so that they would believe that they could be first in the world if they were smart about it, if they planned well, put in enormous amounts of effort, and were supported with adequate resource. Jim Collins states in his book, Good to Great, the good is the enemy of great. And his meaning is that good makes you complacent. Great requires a whole other dimension of work. And with the podium, there was to be no compromise in preparation and effort, no accepting of just trying to be one's best, no excuses in not performing at the top. Kinesiology played a very important role, and I'm glad to have a number of kinesiology graduates in the room today. For the first time in Canada, Own the Podium provided full-time sports science teams to each of those 14 disciplines. So those scientists and sports specialists would be physiotherapists, doctors, physiologists, nutritionists, biomechanists, and others, and each of them worked for 5 years with a particular sport. Own the Podium also established the Top Secret Research Program, which was our first research program for high-performance sport in Canada. And in that program, we had 17 universities and institutes that supported each of the national sports research needs to ensure that the athletes had the best equipment and the best training methodologies. At first, this new concept of uncompromising striving for excellence turned out to be very controversial. It was arrogant, some sniffed, un-Canadian, too American, inhospitable to our visiting athletes. And many felt we were setting ourselves up for failure by openly declaring what our goal was. They were all logical concerns. However, On the Podium worked. Canada won 4 times more medals in Vancouver than they did during the 1988 Olympic Winter Games in Calgary. Those 26 medals included 14 gold, more than any other host country that has ever hosted the Games in the 86-year history of the Winter Games. Canadians from coast to coast were overjoyed with pride at the national success of their athletes. The Prime Minister told me that he had never known any moment in Canadian history when all Canadians were so united in the pride of their country and what their own had accomplished. But our ability as Canadians to achieve world success when we put our mind to it is not the only point that I'm trying to make. Canadians were terribly proud of how the athletes achieved their goals, with fair play, with humility, with courage, with focus, and with commitment. On national television, Alex Bilodeau, the mogul skier who won Canada's first gold medal of the Games, insisted that he was not a hero. Instead, he said the laurel should go to his brother, who with his disability showed more courage every day than he himself had ever shown. And Joannie Rochette, whose mother tragically died hours after arriving in Vancouver to see her daughter skate, demonstrated exceptional grace and focus and courage under such overwhelming adversity. When she finished her medal-winning figure skating event, standing at center ice, she put her hand over her heart and looked to the heavens with emotion and tears overwhelming her. And sometimes something unexpectedly terribly important happened. The negative comments that were so critical about the ambitious OTP striving for excellence turned completely around. As the Games closed, many media outlets, including the Globe and Mail editorial, cried out that Canada needed more programs like On the Podium, more striving for excellence in all areas of our society, including government, law, medicine, teaching, and research. And 5 years later, we still hear a similar message. A few days ago, Derek Burney, Canada's former ambassador to the United States, gave a lecture in Ottawa where he referred to a conversation with a senior Asian diplomat. And the diplomat was perplexed. He said, Canadians who have everything, every type of imaginable resource, a safe country, good government, and yet he believed we prefer to coast. Burnaby's comments were that we do seem at times like the man born on third base who thinks he hit a triple to get there. So what does all this mean for you? Most of you are the same age as I was when I had this crazy idea to go to Vancouver to try to make the Olympic team. With your degrees now finished and being mostly unencumbered by life's responsibilities, this is a rare opportunity for you to stretch yourself. Search out new ideas and opportunities and work extremely hard to capitalize on those. As English poet Robert Browning put it, a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heavens for? You may not achieve your goal, and I have often found that out. But the attempt itself has enormous value for you and for your development. Canada needs you to be your best. However, all of that can wait for a day or two. Today, it's time for you to celebrate this wonderful success that you have just had in this accomplishment of achieving your degrees. Be sure to thank your family and friends and those who have assisted you to get to this point. And please be sure to thank Western for all it gave to you. I too want to thank Western enormously for providing the opportunities and experiences which were so key to whom I became, and to whatever I have achieved, and to say thank you today for this most marvelous honor, the opportunity to address all of you. Thank you.